some acid stories. When I was in high school or whatever, there was a place. It's in downtown Houston. It's a bar. It's called Natsuo's. It is a there's a bar downstairs, but if you go in there, somewhere in the back, along the wall, is another door. And if you knocked on that door and you gave them some sort of code, I don't remember what the code was, they'd let you in. It had a stairway. Like it was the stairway and it came to the door. And the door is just inside of a bar, a whole nother place. Now, this somehow took you to upstairs around it. You paid $5. They had a big long like tray with all kinds of Indian food. And they had the St. Arnold's beers, some microbrewery. And $5 you could just keep drinking and keep eating Indian food. You know what? That's where it's at. But I went there on acid, and I went there with my friend Ronnie. Ronnie turned into a triangle. He just straight up turned into a purple triangle. And you know, I think he's even a triangle to this day. Wherever he's at, I don't talk to him anymore. I don't have his information. I should ask my brother. But you know what? Ronnie was a triangle. He really was. He was just like this. He was just a. Today I'm remembering all the triangles in my life. I'll keep out of the sexual triangles. I'll keep that shit to myself. But I will say, when I was sitting there and I was fucked up, you got to, and you got to keep in mind, I'm like 18 or 19 at least. I might have been out of high school. I might have been 17. I actually, I don't know. I have no idea. But one of the things that I've had since I was that age is this same wallet, chain wallet, chain, and the long hair. It's gone out. In the ceiling, there was an octagon, and it was just cut out. It was the shape of an octagon. My dad has the same thing in his window. In fact, let me take you. This is a very similar cutout octagon. This one is framed out. And speaking of octagon, we do have a octopus right here. Shapes rule our lives. Cheers, Mr. Christopher. Cheers. I want to mow the grass, but I've got to jump. I kind of want to wait till someone comes over and then I can jump the lawnmower and move it. I could put it on the battery charger, but my dumbass put it out here where it's too far away to really safely put the thing because it needs to be up close to the battery, not at the end of 100 fucking foot extension cord. So I've made a mistake. I'm gonna put this back on the normal camera now. And you know, these other cameras, I've used them for years and I love them. But the level of darkness they put on Why so heavy with the darkness? Look how much I can see in here. I put the other light on, I turned this light off. I had two lights on, and that other camera was that much more dark. The psychedelic camera does that too. So, how is it that the simplest things, like amethyst, rule our world when our human words count for less? Our human words count for less. Because and I think as society is shaking off, because some people just don't have, they're like blank slates. Maybe they're clones. Maybe some other entity that somehow lost its existence has made a clone human or stolen the human soul, replaced it somewhere, and taken their body, because these aren't humans. These beings are not humans. I don't mean that in an evil way. I don't mean that in a way to suggest that that they don't have souls, or they're less than. I think anyone that you can interact with can be a restored body to the human soul condition. I don't think an NPC can really have contact with a player character. It's just a little theory, and I want to share it. I want to share it with you, and I'll tell you why. I voted for chocolate. I voted with my body. I should have drank that in the morning. Damn, chocolate milk's good. Sometimes you do have um, perspectives of other realities. You can kind of see them in your dream where things are just like a little bit different than they are here. I have this whole other trailer where behind it is a hill, and it's sort of edged into the hill, as it were, and it's like this except it has different rooms. And you know what? I think I'm sleeping in that other alternate version of the room now, because the side of the bed that normally has avalanche, it's not my bed. But if I'm balancing out the space that I live in, I actually do like to sleep in different places. And aren't most creatures that way? Isn't it strange? But in this other dream, I had a dream of this guy that gave me this bucket. And he had that look in his face when he gave it to me, because he was out there. I was saying goodbye to them, but there was a lot of every interaction that I've had with this guy, and he's not necessarily the best guy, because he's criminal and violent and has weapons, but that's not the point. There's been an ability for me to communicate with him each time that I saw him, and it's just very strange because he got this weird look in his face, and he gave me the bucket. And now the bucket's great. My dad commandeered the bucket. He had all of his shit in it next to his bed, and I'd been making use of it because, well, it's blue. In this bucket, take out the contents. The magnetron. This bucket is a horse feed bucket. You like well? Good. And I say also good. This I call this is the goblin knife. This is the Wu, the evil sorcerer Wu knife. But it has been defanged. Your ring of power in here? I sure as fuck do. All my orgone is in this bucket. Now, what kind of chess character do you think this guy is? There's like Dutch women. There's guys that are playing cha-cha-cha guitar. You know, there is a guitar guy. These are chess pieces. But for the love of God, I think this used to at one time be something very much alive. Maybe it's poop now, maybe it's face. It looks like a block of poop. But it's a rock. It's got little stuff on me. And then these are all of the pyramids, with the exception of the green one, which is in my room. This is a little rock shoe. Do you see how it's a shoe? I have a bigger version of it, and they interlock together. I call this the gnome shoe. So life is very interactive. When I went on the river one day, my dad had shot a snake that he got out of the chicken coop, big ass chicken snake, and he was fighting with it. It's not poisonous, but he put it on that post that's out there, and he shot it with the judge. The judge is a 50 caliber Taurus, and what is that other 432, 430? I don't know what you call the it's a shotgun rifle round of a small gauge. That I don't know all my guns names, unfortunately, like I should. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. This is my very first gun that I had that I ever shot. This is the second version of it. This is a 22 long. This is a Savage Arms 22 long rifle, and the trigger in it actually came out. It frequency wore it down in combo with as many times as I had shot it. And when I was walking around doing like patrol in my own yard at night, it fell out and it was in the driveway. Later, I found it. I thought somebody took the damn trigger out of my gun. I thought it was some Jade Helm shit going on. There is a lot of weird shit that goes on, but since then, I've realized that actually it was what I communed with the spirit to do if, like, the army or something came. The Lord, you want to know what the Lord told me? He said, make them a sandwich and take them down to the river. I'm like, okay. And you know what? That's exactly what I did when it happened. And it did happen. But what I got out of it, I think it's time for Paul to come home. Take this out of him now. Shamanic healing. This sifter was on an island. There's an island out there. It's called Snakehead Island on the map, or a Boy Scout Island. It's an island. It's got a lot of sand. But I found this there on it, and I got this juicer lid which is also yellow. See the yellow? On that same day. This is all my magnet force. I've got a really freakishly powerful magnet inside of this. This is the collapse time. It's the top and the bottom of a hourglass. I got one for $3. Candace got the same one for $3 too. Mine, I collapse time. But my friend Candace, she's a white wizard like myself, and she doesn't collapse time. She crushes it. She soul crushes it. She made it feel so heavy in here. And I miss her so much because I realized I was her friend, but I really don't think she's my friend. And I had a little bit of a relationship with her, but ultimately it's just not, personality types aren't the same. I had this dream when I was with her that I moved in with her at this other place, and a friend of hers shot me, and I died. And then she had to move from where she was living at that time. She had lived there for 5 years, but she was so far behind in her rent and had been paying people. She actually blamed me. I was like, you were already getting evicted whenever I moved there. I just came from Bastrop. They wouldn't even let me work. I went to they had a staffing agency, and I wanted to try to go work on the boats, and they're like, no, they wouldn't even tell me. They're like, they wouldn't let me work with another friend of mine doing the driving the he was driving the car that vacuums the parking lots at night, and I would blow the leaf blower, and he would go and vacuum it up with the car. But they wouldn't let me do that, and that's because right after I went and didn't get to work there, I did get to work at the army base in San Antonio. So what's that about? I worked in there twice. Once for McCorvey sheet metal, and another time for this iron worker guy. And it was a very strange experience each time. So collapsing time, I'm using the triangle and the octagon to try to bring home my father in the healthy state that he can be in, and I still need that power of attorney from the lawyer. I don't know why he doesn't just write a check and pay the landlady. I guess he could do that, but he still wants me to have power of attorney in case something happens to him, and he's probably right about that. So this is, and look at this. This is exactly the width. These two together, both orgone boxes, and then this very nice turtle shield piece of what have you. Things are so perfect when they're made standardized, and when you get your soul and your body resonating right, you can get that other triangle working, like the whales we're talking about. Let's go show the whales one more time. I'm going to show the whales one more time.